Flu season is upon us and more rampant than ever. Dr. Vivien Suttorp joins us to give us tips on prevention, give us a little more information on the flu. So first, maybe, Vivien, can you explain to us what maybe H1N1 is, where it derives from, where is this flu coming from?
So a lot of people remember influenza A, H1N1 from 2009, sort of 2009-2010 flu season. Since then, we've seen this specific strain of influenza circulating across North America and within Alberta and southern Alberta every season. And the flu season typically is between the months of October through March, April. And so it has been part of a variety of flu strains circulating. Usually 3 or 4 different strains circulate. What's unique this year is that we have the predominant strain at this moment is influenza A H1N1. And that is unique as compared to the last 3 years.
Now, what are the symptoms of this flu? We were talking off camera that sometimes someone will have H1N1 and not know for the first couple of days, and they'll actually possibly could be infecting other people because they don't know they have the symptoms right, but they don't know they have the flu right away.
That's correct. So many of the influenza viruses have a spectrum of illness they can create. So they're all the way from individuals who have no symptoms or very minor symptoms, it may be just a sniffly nose, to very severe symptoms requiring assisted ventilation in intensive care units and all the way to death. And so we see that in any flu season with any of the flu strains. Certain strains of influenza create more severe disease, and certain strains impact different demographics. Okay, so some may impact elderly more, and some may impact young individuals with chronic conditions. So every flu is quite unique. And the other interesting thing about influenza viruses is that they change quite a lot from year to year. Why we recommend people to get immunized early on in the season, so in October, so that they have an immune response before we hit a lot of influenza activity happens in the local areas, and so that people have already at least 2 weeks are ahead with their antibody response. So some of the symptoms, again, as I said, can vary by age group, but it also varies by strain of the type of influenza. But people can have very mild symptoms, a runny nose, maybe a little bit aches and pains, to the more typical symptoms. People feel fever, cough, or exacerbation of their ongoing cough. And they may have muscle aches and pains, joint aches and pains, feeling extremely fatigued. Certain of the strains then may cause worsening of symptoms. So influenza A, H1N1 can actually impact the lungs quite interestingly, and so people can get serious respiratory challenges. Now, not all influenza causes the death. Influenza can also impact our respiratory systems and our immune system so greatly that we end up with, or individuals can end up with, secondary bacterial infections. And then they'd have complications of a bacterial pneumonia, for example. But it is secondary after sort of the virus is sort of already challenged an individual. Can
you say a distinct timeline that a person is contagious if they've contracted this disease or flu?
Yeah, so again, how long somebody is contagious can vary, but typically when people have very mild symptoms already, runny nose, just very mild symptoms, or maybe a bit of sneezing, they are already contagious. And the contagiousness is through droplets, so if somebody sneezes directly on you, or dirty surfaces such as doorknobs or computer surfaces. So those are ways influenza can be spread. It is not airborne like measles is. Having said that, with measles, we have many more people immunized than we do with influenza.
Those don't sound like very pleasant symptoms to have. How can someone prevent this? Whether or not, I guess, they have had the shot. What are the ways to go about preventing getting this? Yeah, so other preventative measures beyond the immunization are the ones that we talk about a lot. So washing of hands, extremely important. The virus doesn't survive very long on surfaces, but washing of hands is extremely important. And not touching eyes, nose, mouth after touching a doorknob or a shopping cart or whatever else, right? Because those germs may be lasting on those surfaces. The second thing is really requesting individuals who are ill with mild symptoms or more severe symptoms to stay home.
right? To stay home. If they have to go out, cough in their sleeve, wash hands very well so as not to spread the wealth. Again, that is being at work, sending children to school, realizing that it is challenging to do that when you have work and all these other activities that one does during the day.
Thank you, Dr. Vivien Suttorp, for joining us today. There's some tips for preventing the flu. Try and stay healthy this season.